A shadow over Silverbrook's mountain air felt different today. Celeste Morgan stood at the window of her small cottage, watching dark clouds gather over the peaks of Silverbrook. Her daughter Ember cooed softly from the cradle nearby, her tiny fists reaching toward nothing in particular. Celeste smiled despite the exhaustion that had become her constant companion over the past 8 months. She had grown used to being alone, to the whispers that followed her through the market square, to the way other mothers pulled their children closer when she passed. Being part monster in a town that barely tolerated her kind had always been hard, but raising a child alone made everything sharper, more painful. The sound of a car engine broke through her thoughts. Celeste froze. Very few people drove up the winding mountain roads to her cottage. Her heart began to race when she recognized the sleek black vehicle pulling up outside. She would know that car anywhere. Draven Ashford had returned. The man who left Draven stepped out of his vehicle with the same commanding presence Celeste remembered. Tall and broad-shouldered, he moved with the natural grace of someone who could transform into a creature of legend at will. His dark hair was perfectly styled. His suit probably cost more than she earned in 3 months at the inn where she used to work. But it was his eyes that caught her breath, those amber eyes that seemed to glow with an inner fire. He had changed in some ways. There were new lines around his eyes, a certain weight to his shoulders that had not been there before. But he was still devastatingly handsome, still the man who had turned her world upside down 1 year ago. Celeste did not go to the door. She stood frozen, watching him approach, her mind racing through 1,000 scenarios. What was he doing here? Why now? Did he even remember her? Or was this some cruel coincidence? The knock came firm and deliberate. Celeste took a deep breath, checked on Ember, who had fallen asleep, and walked to the door. Her hand trembled slightly as she opened it. Celeste. His voice was deeper than she remembered, rougher somehow. Draven. She kept her voice steady, refusing to show how much his presence affected her. This is unexpected. Recognition and revelation. For a moment they simply stared at each other. Celeste saw surprise flicker across his features, followed by something that might have been pleasure or pain. She could not tell which. Then his gaze shifted past her.
Oh.
Drawn by a small sound from within the cottage. Ember had woken up and was making the soft chirping noises that always made Celeste smile. But Draven's reaction was different. His entire body went rigid. His nostrils flared slightly, and those amber eyes widened with shock. "Is that?" Could not finish the sentence. Celeste stepped aside, her decision made in an instant. There was no point in hiding the truth now. "You should come in." Draven moved past her as if in a trance, his eyes fixed on the cradle where Ember lay. The baby looked up at him with eyes that matched his own, that same amber glow that no human child could possess. Small wisps of smoke curled from her tiny nostrils. When she sneezed, "How old?" His voice was barely a whisper. 8 months. Celeste closed the door and leaned against it. Watching him process the truth, Draven reached down slowly. And Ember, who usually fussed with strangers, reached back with both hands. When his finger touched her palm, she gripped it with surprising strength. A visible shudder ran through Draven's body. "She has my mark." He pulled back his collar slightly, revealing a distinctive birthmark shaped like a crescent moon. Then he gently moved aside the blanket covering Ember's left shoulder. The same mark, identical in every detail. The weight of absence. "Why did you not tell me?" Draven turned to face Celeste, and she saw a storm of emotions in his eyes. Anger, confusion, hurt, wonder, all swirling together. Celeste felt her own anger rise. "Tell you? I tried, Draven. I sent messages to every contact I had. I went to your family estate 3 times before your security told me to stop coming. I was not exactly hiding. I changed all my contact information when I moved to the Eastern Territories for business." His voice dropped. "The estate security never told me anyone came looking for me. They probably thought you were another woman looking for money." The bitterness in those last words stung, but Celeste understood. Dragons like Draven, especially wealthy ones, were often targets. "I was not looking for money. I was looking for you, I know that now." Draven sat down heavily in the chair beside the cradle, his eyes never leaving Ember. "What is her name?" Ember Rose Morgan. Celeste moved to stand on the other side of the cradle. I gave her my last name since I did not know if you would want her to have yours. Something in Draven's expression cracked. Want her? Celeste? She is my daughter. My child. Do you know how rare it is for dragons to have children? My entire clan has been pressuring me to produce an heir for years, and here she is, growing up without me. Questions and complications. Ember began to fuss, and Celeste automatically moved to pick her up. But Draven reached out first. May I? Celeste hesitated, then nodded. She watched as this powerful dragon, this businessman who commanded respect and fear in equal measure, carefully lifted her daughter into his arms with surprising gentleness. Ember settled against his chest immediately, her tiny hands clutching his shirt. The smoke wisps from her nostrils increased, responding to his presence. Draven closed his eyes, and Celeste saw something she'd never expected to see from him. Tears. I have missed 8 months of her life, he said quietly. 8 months of firsts. Her first breath, first smile, first transformation attempt. She has not transformed yet, Celeste said softly. But she shows signs. The smoke, the eyes, her body temperature runs higher than normal because she is half dragon and half shadow beast. Draven looked up at Celeste. That makes her unique. Possibly the only one of her kind. That makes her vulnerable. Celeste voiced the fear that had haunted her since Ember's birth. Neither community fully accepts mixed heritage children. The dragons see monster blood as contamination. The shadow beasts see dragon blood as tyranny. Draven's jaw tightened. Then we changed their minds. Celeste could not keep the skepticism from her voice. Where's this we coming from, Draven? You have been gone for a year. You have your life, your business empire, your dragon clan obligations. I have built a life here with Ember. We do not need you swooping in to play hero. This is not about playing hero. Draven stood, still holding Ember carefully. This is about my daughter. About making sure she grows up safe, loved, and proud of both sides of her heritage. I know I have no right to ask for your trust after disappearing, even unintentionally. But I am asking anyway. Let me be part of her life. Let me try to make up for lost time. Decisions in the darkness. Celeste wanted to say no. Every protective instinct screamed at her to push him away. To keep Ember safe from the potential heartbreak of having a father who might leave again. But she saw the way Ember had relaxed in his arms. The way her daughter seemed to recognize something fundamental in this stranger. It will not be easy, Celeste said finally. There are people in Silverbrook who already resent me for having a dragon child. If you start coming around, things might get worse before they get better. Let them try. There was steel in Draven's voice, and for a moment Celeste saw the dragon beneath the human facade. Anyone who threatens my daughter will answer to me. Outside, the storm finally broke. Rain began to fall in heavy sheets, drumming against the roof of the cottage. Inside, 2 people who had shared one passionate night a year ago stood on opposite sides of a cradle, connected now by the tiny life between them. You can visit, Celeste said, making her choice. Regularly. But we go slow. Ember deserves to know her father, but she also deserves stability. Can you give her that? Draven looked down at the baby in his arms, at the perfect blend of his fire and Celeste's shadow, and made a promise. I will give her everything I have, starting now. As lightning flashed outside, illuminating the cottage in brief, brilliant moments, a new chapter began. One filled with uncertainty, challenges, and the faint. Fragile hope that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places. Building bridges, the weeks that followed Draven's return changed everything in Celeste's carefully constructed world. He came every day without fail, arriving in the morning with fresh supplies and leaving only when Ember fell asleep each night. At first, Celeste maintained a careful distance, watching him like a hawk as he learned to change diapers, prepare bottles, and soothe their daughter when she cried. Draven was patient in ways Celeste had not expected. He did not push for more than she was willing to give. He did not demand answers about the past year or make excuses for his absence. Instead, he focused entirely on Ember, learning her rhythms, her likes and dislikes. The way she sneezed smoke when she was happy, and how her eyes glowed brighter when she was hungry? She has your stubbornness, Draven said one afternoon, as Ember refused to take her bottle, turning her head away each time he offered it. And your pride, Celeste replied, watching from the kitchen doorway. She will only eat when she is good and ready, not a moment before. Draven smiled, a genuine expression that softened his usually stern features. Then we are in trouble. 2 stubborn, proud parents means 1 impossible child. We will manage. The words slipped out before Celeste could stop it. We, as if they were a team, a unit, something more than 2 people bound by biology. Draven caught it too. His eyes met hers across the room, and something unspoken passed between them. Hope, perhaps, or the beginning of trust. The town's whispers, but Silverbrook was not as accepting. The whispers that had followed Celeste before now turned into outright hostility. The fact that Draven Ashford, heir to one of the most powerful dragon clans in the region, was spending time at her cottage did not go unnoticed. At the market, vendors who had once tolerated her now refused to sell to her. Mrs. Thornwood, who ran the bakery, told her plainly, "We do not serve those who corrupt dragon bloodlines." Celeste tried to brush it off, but the words stung. She had lived in Silverbrook her entire life. This was her home, even if it had never fully accepted her monster heritage. The Shadow Beast community was no better. Her cousin Raven confronted her one evening as she walked home from the market. "You are making a mistake," Raven said, blocking her path. "Dragons have always looked down on us. Now, you are letting one of them claim your daughter? You are betraying your own kind." "Ember is half-dragon," Celeste replied firmly. "I am not betraying anyone by letting her know her father. He will take her from you." Raven's silver eyes flashed with anger. "Once she is old enough, once she can transform fully, he will use his wealth and power to claim her. You will be left with nothing." The words planted seeds of doubt that Celeste tried hard to ignore. But late at night, when Draven had gone and Ember slept peacefully, those doubts grew into fears. What if Raven was right? What if this was all temporary, a novelty that would wear off once the reality of raising a child became too much? Vivian's venom. The real trouble began when Vivian Cross arrived in Silverbrook. She was everything Celeste was not. Pure-blooded dragon, wealthy, connected to every important family in the region. Her scales, when she transformed, were said to shimmer like polished silver. She was also, as Celeste quickly learned, Draven's intended match according to clan tradition. Vivian made her presence known immediately. She appeared at Celeste's cottage one morning, her expensive perfume filling the small space like an invasion. "So you are the Shadow Beast who trapped Draven," Vivian said, not bothering with pleasantries. Her green eyes raked over Celeste with obvious disdain. "I did not trap anyone," Celeste replied, keeping her voice steady. "And you are not welcome here. I am not here for you." Vivian's gaze shifted to Ember, who sat in her playpen, watching the stranger with curious eyes. "I am here to see the child that has caused so much trouble. Leave now." Celeste moved to stand between Vivian and her daughter, or what? Vivian smiled, showing perfect white teeth. "You will attack me?"
Please do.
"It would give the clan council exactly the excuse they need to declare you an unfit mother." Draven's arrival cut the confrontation short. He appeared in the doorway, his expression thunderous. "Vivienne, what are you doing here?" "Visiting my future family," Vivian replied smoothly, though her smile faltered under his glare. "Is that not allowed?" "This is not your family. Leave." "The clan council sent me to assess the situation," Vivian said, her voice turning cold. "They have concerns about your involvement with this woman and her child. Legitimate concerns about bloodline purity and clan succession." "Ember is my daughter," Draven said, each word sharp as broken glass. "The clan council has no say in my relationship with her." "Does the council know you are here every day? That you are playing house with a shadow beast?" Vivian's voice dropped to a dangerous purr. "What do you think will happen when they find out their heir is wasting time on a half-breed child?" The temperature in the room rose sharply. Smoke began to curl from Draven's nostrils, a sign of his barely controlled anger. "Get out now," Before I forget, we grew up together. Vivian left, but her parting words lingered like poison. This will not end well, Draven. For any of you. Cracks in the foundation that night, Celeste confronted Draven. Is it true? Does your clan not accept Ember? Draven looked exhausted. He sat at her kitchen table with his head in his hands. The clan council is traditional. They believe in pure bloodlines, arranged matches, maintaining power structures that have existed for centuries. But I do not care what they think. You should care. Celeste felt tears threatening but refused to let them fall. Because Vivian was right about one thing. This will not end well. Your clan will never accept Ember. They will never accept me. And eventually, you will have to choose. I have already chosen, Draven said fiercely. I choose Ember. I choose being her father. And what about everything else? Your inheritance? Your position? Your future? Celeste shook her head. I will not let you throw away your entire life for us. Then what do you want me to do? Draven stood, frustration radiating from him. Walk away? Pretend she does not exist? I cannot do that, Celeste. I will not. I want you to think about what you are really willing to sacrifice. Celeste's voice broke slightly, because this is not going to get easier. Vivian will make trouble. Your clan will pressure you. And Ember will be caught in the middle of all of it. They stared at each other across the small kitchen, the weight of impossible choices hanging between them. Ember began to cry from her room, sensing the tension even in sleep. Celeste went to comfort her, leaving Draven alone with his thoughts. When she returned, he was gone, but he had left a note on the table. I am not giving up on either of you. Trust me. Celeste held the note for a long time, wanting desperately to believe those words. But trust, she had learned, was far more fragile than love. Escalation over the next few days, things got worse. Someone spray-painted hateful words on Celeste's cottage door. Her landlord suddenly demanded she move out, claiming complaints from neighbors. At the market, she was shoved deliberately by a young dragon shifter who laughed when she nearly dropped her groceries. Draven hired security to watch the cottage. But that only made things worse. Now people saw it as confirmation that Celeste was using Draven's money and influence, that she had trapped him with the baby. The breaking point came when someone threw a rock through Celeste's window while Ember slept in the next room. Glass shattered everywhere, and a note attached to the rock read, "Half-breeds are not welcome here." Celeste called Draven immediately, her hands shaking. He arrived within minutes, his face pale with rage when he saw the broken window and the note. Pack your things, he said immediately. You and Ember are coming to stay with me. I cannot do that. Celeste was already sweeping up the glass. That will only make things worse. Worse. Someone could have hurt Ember. Draven's voice rose, and smoke poured from his nostrils. I will not stand by while you are both in danger. I will not run away to hide in your mansion while everyone in this town thinks I am exactly what they say I am. Celeste shot back. A gold digger, a trap, a corrupting influence. I do not care what they think. But I do. Celeste finally let her tears fall. I have lived in this town my whole life. These are my people, my community, even if they hate me right now. I will not let them drive me away. Draven pulled her into his arms, and for a moment, Celeste let herself lean into his strength. Then we fight back, he said quietly. Together. No more hiding, no more staying quiet. We show them that Ember deserves to be here, that our family deserves respect. Celeste pulled back to look at him. Our family? Draven's amber eyes held hers steadily. Yes, if you will have us. The question hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility and risk. Before Celeste could answer, Ember called out from her room, and the moment passed. But something had shifted. Foundation had been laid for what might come next, as Draven helped her board up the window and clean the remaining glass. Celeste realized that, whether she was ready or not, they were already in this together. The only question was whether their fragile bond could survive the storm that was coming. The council summons 3 days after the window incident. Draven received a formal summons from the Dragon Clan Council, the heavy parchment sealed with their ancient symbol. demanded his presence at the clan stronghold for a hearing regarding his inappropriate entanglement and neglect of duty. Draven crumpled the letter in his fist. Celeste, feeding Ember breakfast, watched him with growing anxiety. What does it say? They want me to explain myself. To justify why I am choosing to acknowledge a half-breed child over my responsibilities to the clan? Draven's voice was bitter. Vivian wasted no time making her report. And go. Tell them the truth. Celeste kept her voice calm, though her heart raced. Ember is your daughter. They have to understand that. They will demand I renounce her or face exile from the clan. Draven met her eyes. That is how they operate. Conform or be cast out. And what will you choose? The question hung between them. Ember babbled happily, unaware of the adult tensions surrounding her tiny world. Draven crossed the room and knelt beside the high chair, taking his daughter's small hand in his much larger one. I choose her. Always her. He looked up at Celeste. And you, if you will let me. Before Celeste could respond, another knock came at the door. This time it was Raven, Celeste's cousin, but he was not alone. Behind him stood 3 elders from the Shadow Beast community, their silver eyes grave. We need to talk, Raven said. All of us. 2 communities, 1 choice. The meeting that followed was tense. The Shadow Beast elders sat on one side of Celeste's small living room, their dark clothes and silver jewelry marking them as people of ancient tradition. They had come with a message similar to the Dragon Council's, though phrased differently. The dragons will never accept the child, Elder Mira said gently. You know this, Celeste. She will always be seen as contaminated by them. But here among Shadow Beasts, she could have a home. We would raise her as one of our own, without her father. Celeste held Ember tighter. You are asking me to cut Draven out of her life. They're asking you to be realistic. Raven leaned forward, his expression earnest. Draven will be forced to choose between his clan and his daughter. When that happens, he will choose his clan. They always do. Better to protect Ember now than let her heart be broken later. Draven, who had been silent until now, spoke with quiet intensity. You do not know me. You do not know what I am willing to sacrifice. I know your kind, Elder Mira replied. Dragons value power, lineage, tradition. A half-breed child threatens all of that. A daughter threatens nothing except small-minded bigotry. Draven stood, his presence filling the room. I will face my clan council. I will make them understand. But I will not abandon Ember, and I will not let anyone, dragon or shadow beast, tell me she is worth less because of her mixed blood. The elders left shortly after, their disappointment clear. Raven lingered at the door. I hope you know what you are doing, cousin. The path you are choosing will not be easy. Nothing worth having ever is, Celeste replied. The harangue Draven insisted Celeste and Ember come with him to the clan stronghold. They need to see her, he explained. Not as an idea or a threat, but as a child. As my child. Stronghold was carved into the mountain itself. A massive structure of stone and flame that had housed the dragon clans for centuries. Celeste had never been inside before. The halls were lined with portraits of stern-faced ancestors, all pure-blooded dragons who stared down at her with seeming disapproval. The council chamber was circular, 7 seats arranged in a semicircle. The elders sat in formal robes, their faces revealing nothing. Vivian stood off to one side, her expression triumphant. Draven Ashford, the head counselor, Elder Talon, began. You stand accused of neglecting your duties to this clan by forming an attachment to a shadow beast and her offspring. What say you? The child is mine, Draven stated clearly. Her name is Ember, and she is my daughter. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Several council members exchanged glances. Impossible, Elder Talon said. There is no record of a proper mating ceremony, no approval from this council. I did not know Celeste was pregnant when I left Silverbrook a year ago, Draven explained. But the child is mine. Blood tests confirm it. More than that, anyone who looks at her can see the dragon traits she carries. Tainted traits, Vivian interjected, mixed with shadow beast blood. This child can never be a true heir to the Ashford line. Then the Ashford line needs to change, Draven shot back. The chamber erupted. Council members argued among themselves while Celeste stood holding Ember, feeling like an intruder in a world that had never wanted her. But then, something unexpected happened. Ember began to glow. Her amber eyes brightened, and small flames danced along her tiny fingers, harmless but unmistakable. The chamber fell silent. "She has the dragon fire," Elder Talon whispered. "Pure and strong." "Impossible," another elder breathed. "Half-breeds cannot carry true dragon fire." But they could all see it. Ember, disturbed by the loud voices, had instinctively called upon her dragon heritage. The flames grew brighter, illuminating her face with golden light. Elder Talon stood slowly. "This changes things." Vivian's last move, but Vivian was not finished. "This proves nothing," she insisted. "The child is still an abomination. And even if the council accepts her, the shadow beasts never will. She will be torn between two worlds, belonging to neither." "Is that the life you want for your daughter, Draven?" "I want her to choose her own path," Draven replied. "Not have it dictated by fear and prejudice? Then you are a fool." Vivian's composure cracked. "I could have given you pure-blooded heirs. Children who would be celebrated, not scorned. But you threw that away for one night with a shadow beast." "That night gave me the greatest gift of my life," Draven said simply, "and I will not apologize for it." Vivian's face twisted with rage. She lunged forward, and for a moment, Celeste thought she was going to attack. But instead, Vivian pulled out a document. "Fine. Reject tradition, reject your clan, reject everything we have built. But know this, I have connections in the human government. With one word, I can have child services investigate Celeste Morgan for negligence. I can make sure that child is taken away and placed with a proper dragon family." The threat hung in the air like poison. Celeste felt her blood run cold. But before anyone could respond, the chamber doors burst open. Raven entered, followed by Elder Mira and a dozen other shadow beasts. Behind them came an unexpected group, human townspeople from Silverbrook, including Mrs. Thornwood from the bakery and several others who had previously shunned Celeste. "8. What is the meaning of this?" Elder Talon demanded. "We are here to testify," Raven said, his voice carrying through the chamber. For Celeste and Ember, the turning tide what followed was unprecedented. One by one, people spoke. Shadow Beast talked about how Celeste had lived her entire life straddling two worlds with grace and dignity. Human townspeople admitted their prejudice had been wrong, that seeing Draven's devotion to his daughter had changed their minds. Mrs. Thornwood stepped forward, her voice shaking but determined. "I was wrong to judge. I watched that young man come every single day to care for his child. I watched Celeste raise her daughter with love despite our cruelty. If that is not family, I do not know what is." Even some of the Dragon Clan members seemed moved. One elder spoke up. "Perhaps it is time we reconsidered our stance on mixed heritage children. The world is changing. Should we not change with it?" Vivian watched her support crumble with visible fury. "You are all fools," she spat. "This will destroy everything our clans have built." "No," Elder Talon said slowly. "Perhaps this will save us. We have grown stagnant, too focused on purity in the past. This child represents something new, something that could unite communities instead of dividing them." The council went into private deliberation. The wait was agonizing. Celeste sat in an antechamber with Ember, who had finally fallen asleep, exhausted by all the commotion. Draven paced like a caged animal while Raven and the others waited with them. When the council called them back, Elder Talon's expression was unreadable. "We have reached a decision. Draven Ashford, you will not be exiled. Your daughter, Ember Rose Morgan Ashford, will be recognized as having legitimate dragon heritage." Relief flooded through Celeste, but Elder Talon was not finished. "However, there are conditions. The child must be raised with knowledge of both her dragon and shadow beast heritage. She must learn our ways and theirs. And when she comes of age, she will have to prove herself worthy of full acceptance into this clan." "She will," Draven said firmly. "And she will prove all of you wrong about mixed heritage children, new beginnings." 3 months later, Celeste stood in the garden of a new house halfway between Silverbrook and the dragon stronghold. It was not as grand as Draven's family estate, but it was theirs. A place where both communities could visit, where Ember could grow up knowing both sides of her heritage. Draven came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist as they watched Ember crawl through the grass, chasing butterflies with delighted squeals. "She will be walking soon," Celeste said softly. "Flying too, probably." Draven smiled. "She is already trying to sprout wings when she gets excited. Is this what you imagined?" "When you came back to Silverbrook that day," Draven turned her to face him, "I imagined disaster, pain, having to make impossible choices. I never imagined this. A family, home, a future. Do you regret it? Everything you gave up?" "I gave up nothing that mattered." Draven kissed her forehead. "I gained everything. You both saved me from a life of duty without joy, tradition without purpose." Celeste looked up at him, seeing the man he had become in these months. "I love you. I should have said it sooner, but I was afraid. I love you too. I think I have since that first night, even though I did not understand it then." Draven's amber eyes glowed softly. "Will you marry me, Celeste? Make this family official in the eyes of both our communities?" Before Celeste could answer, Ember let out a triumphant shriek. She had caught a butterfly and was holding it gently, her tiny dragon flames warming her hands but not harming the delicate creature. Then she opened her palms and let it go, watching it flutter away with wonder. "Yes," Celeste said, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, to everything." As the sun set over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple, two people from different worlds held each other while their daughter played. They had faced prejudice, threats, and impossible odds. But they had also discovered something stronger, that love could build bridges between the most divided communities, and that sometimes the most unexpected unions created the most beautiful futures. Ember would grow up knowing both dragon, fire, and shadow magic. She would face challenges, certainly, but she would face them with parents who had fought for her right to exist exactly as she was, and that they both knew was the greatest gift they could give her. The dragon's heart and the monster's secret had become the foundation of something new, a family forged in fire and shadow, bound by love and unbreakable by prejudice. It was only the beginning of their story, but it was a beginning filled with hope, acceptance, and the promise that tomorrow would be better than yesterday. Above them, stars began to appear, twinkling like distant promises. And in that garden, in that moment, all three of them were exactly where they belonged.